Welcome to the Inspectations Podcast, hosted by Justin Starbird, CEO of the Aebli Group. In business, one of the most difficult tasks a leader must do is find a way to inspect what they expect. Too often, great businesses fail or managers lose their way because they were operating based on expectations that they had not yet inspected. The Inspectations Podcast brings together business leaders from all industries to talk about best practices, innovation, leadership, and business development. You're listening to the Inspectations Podcast. Here's your host, Justin Starbird.
Welcome back to this episode of Inspectations. My name is Justin Starbird, and always working on new ways to inspect what I expect. And today, one of my favorite people in the world, Rebecca Reed, joins me from Benchmark Multimedia. Rebecca, thanks for joining me today.
You're very welcome, Justin. Hello, and how are you?
I'm great. This is exciting. We get to talk all the time, but we never record ourselves talking.
No, this is new. This is definitely new.
We've done it a couple of times, but it was more in the form of video and on behalf of clients. So never to talk about ourselves, though.
Going to learn something new today, for sure.
Well, we're talking video production. Tell me, Rebecca, what is your background and how did you get into video production?
My background is that this is a long story, so I'll try and keep it short. My mum, very many years ago, had an audio production recording studio in London, and that turned into her being the first person to create video winding machines. So she patented the first automated video loading machines that put magnetic videotape into video shells. So all my life, I have been involved in video, but just not in the production side of it. But over the years, it has morphed into this, and I find myself as a video producer. And I have been that for the past 15 years, which is something I never expected. But yeah, it's a story that goes back to the Romford Road and an audio recording studio back when I was about 3 years old. And 45 years later, here we are.
Who's counting? Nobody's counting. We're just excited to have you here. This is wonderful. Well, you and your husband, James, own Benchmark Multimedia. How did you guys get started?
Visa and immigration issues meant that James had to come and work for my family because we're both English, and that was the way to get him into the country. And so that's what he did after studying at UNE. And then he came to work for my mom and my stepfather, and I was already working there. It's a family business. They retired and we took over, and this is now what we do. Yeah.
Well, it's been really wonderful to have the opportunity to work with you over the years. I think I don't even remember how we got started. I know James and I originally met because of some simple referral or chance meeting, but we've had the opportunity to do a lot of projects together, including recently. And one of the things that I always loved about working with you is how you and the team approach video production. And so, tell me from your perspective, what does that mean? What is video production?
Just going back a second to what you first said about our approach to video production, and I think I can define that in one word. It's really important both to James and I, and what's always been really important, and that's partnership. We're a married couple running a business. That's a partnership, and that's taught us a lot. And we extend that into
that could be its own podcast.
Yeah,
that could be its own podcast. We can come back to that one.
Our relationships with our clients, and that's what it is. It's about building relationships and forming partnerships, and that's our approach to the whole part of running a business in the first place. But video production, how would I define it? It's storytelling, it's communication. The unique thing about video is that it is a multi-sensory experience that really enables you to provide an emotional context to what you're delivering, the content that you're delivering for your client. So that's what it's communication. That's what video production means to me.
Yeah. A lot of times clients or prospective clients they get stuck in the rabbit hole of Google looking up video production teams and video companies in general, videographers. And a lot of times folks aren't sure where to start. They're not sure what to ask for or even what they're looking for. How do you define what you do versus, maybe some of other, competition that's out there? And I'll preface that by saying, we live in the great state of Maine, and you have contractors that if they have a hammer and a truck, they throw a sign on the side and say they're a contractor. They don't need any special certifications. But then you have, builders that are capable of making $1 million homes. And if somebody's looking for a project to be done, they're going to find both. But how do you differentiate yourself?
Well, it's a craft. It's just what you've defined there is, it's a craft over doing a job. And those are two very different things. And I think we would really define ourselves as craftspeople. And, I really think that what we do goes back to what I said earlier. It's about having to form a partnership with your clients so that you really, truly understand what their business is and what their goals are for the content that you're producing. And that's really the most important thing. When you go to a company, if you've got a brief ready, when they come back to you, they should have done their research. We will have done our research. We will have done your audience research. We will have done the competitor analysis. We will understand what your strategy is and what your goals are for your video, because there's so many different types of video out there. It's understanding what you need and how you need it delivered. But I think underlying all of that, one of the most important points is that it's not just us putting our own stamp on the video, which of course we do, but it's our ability to communicate using the client's voice. Mm-hmm. So we have an approach, and you could probably tell our videos from another person's videos, but more importantly, we want to kind of remove ourselves from it so that we really are speaking through the clients. We are the client's mouthpiece. We're speaking in their voice.
Well, you're helping amplify their story, and mm-hmm. you're doing it, in a production, right? I mean, you're taking it and you're making it visceral. You're making it have some sort of story. You're making it have personality. A lot of times, and I've seen a lot of the work that you've done and a lot of the work that we do together. I think about the group in New York and Florida that we've worked a long time with, and everybody has an amazing story. So how do you pull out the personality to make it unique? And I think that's something that you take a lot of time, effort, and energy and apply to folks. And no doubt there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. And so to that end, how does somebody know if they're actually working with a good production company?
Like I said, they will have done their research. They will understand. They will take the time to understand, to have those conversations with you, so that they, can align the project with, the strategic needs of your client. The client comes to you, they've got a need, they've got a problem that needs solving. So it's just taking that time to really understand what your business needs, what your business actually is, and then the problem that we're trying to solve and how we go about solving it. There's so many different types of video. You've got something where you want to engage the audience, you're inspiring your audience, educating your audience. Are you trying to recruit? What are you actually trying to achieve? Because, there's a template that people can go by for so many types of video, but that's not what we do. It's not cookie cutter. This is, really understanding what you need so we can communicate with your voice.
What type of questions should if I'm looking for a video production company and I'm looking at you, I'm looking at somebody else, what sorts of questions should I even be asking to be able to differentiate, somebody that's just checking a box and then somebody that does this as a craft?
You've got to go beyond the reel. You've got to go beyond their portfolio and really understand what services that they're offering. Are those services in-house and what they're outsourcing? So you're starting off with, the ideation, the concepting. Is that all happening in-house? And then the script writing, and then, all the production stuff, the casting, everything that goes along with it, all the way through to the production. Is that all going to be handled in-house? What parts are you outsourcing? Is the same person going to be in charge of that content and that strategy from beginning to end. What you don't want is, 15 different hands in that pie. You really do need somebody who has been there since the beginning of your project and is going to see it through all the way to the end. And also somebody that's responsive. That's the biggest deal breaker for me as a client myself with people. It's, do they respond in a timely fashion? I mean, that's just...
Oh, you mean you have a question and you want an answer today? Yeah. Oh, right. I get that. All right. So let me ask you the other way then. Because I can tell people what questions to ask, but then, you have to know what to do with the information. What do you do with those answers? And how do you know if the answers are hyperbole or if they're genuine, or, and is that what you use, portfolios and testimonials for?
Yeah, absolutely. Testimonials are a key part of, not just our business and what we're trying to communicate, but also, for the content. Sorry, Justin. Hold on.
All right. So let me ask you this. Let me reverse that. So instead of saying, I can tell people what questions to ask all day long, but then you got to know what to do with the information that you're actually receiving, and knowing the difference between, hyperbole and actual, useful information. How does a potential client, tell the difference? I know I'm putting you right on the spot, but it is interesting, right? I mean, we can tell, how do you know if what somebody is saying is real? Do you, is that where you interject testimonials and your previous reel, or do you give people, the opportunity to call past customers?
Oh, absolutely. Of course. I mean, yeah, that's trying to be as open and transparent with what you've done is, just the first rule of any business. I don't think that directly applies just to video production, but yeah, absolutely.
Well, but it's really important, right? Because you want to make sure that, especially with video production, that they're capable of telling that story.
But fortunately, because of the nature of what we do have that portfolio. We do have something that you can show to people, and you can also, the back end of it as well is, did this strategy work? What were the results that you were able to deliver? Because that's what ultimately you're doing. If it's a recruitment video, how many people did that company hire? If, it's a sales video, what were the actual results? What was that return on the investment?
And that's a great question too. How do you actually measure ROI on a video? Is that something that you guys work hard to help them with? I mean, like you just said, a great example would be, this is a sales video, and did their message attract clients or prospects at the right part of the funnel that they're aiming for? Do you walk them through that?
That's just like the marketing side of it. And
all right, so we cut that one out. All right. That, you bring up a real interesting point about, dollars spent, and working with your partners on creating an ROI based on wherever their goals are. How do you go back to determining a budget, though, to meet their demands, to meet their needs, meet their requirements, so that their campaign can be successful?
Well, one of the things that we really do pride ourselves on is not, finding out how deep the pockets are before we start with the budget. It's not like, oh, how much can you spend? Let's spend it all. It's more of a, that goes back to understanding the business and where they are in, is this a company that has a lot of money to spend and wants to spend a lot of money? Because the thing with video production is, and what we really do really well, is scale our services to fit the budget. So it can be a whole big, dog and pony show where we have, sound engineers and lighting and grips and gaffers and talent and all the rest of it. Or it can be that you just don't have the budget for that, and we're willing to work with you to get the best for you with the money that you have. I mean, just recently, I've just done a series of commercials for quite a big company. But I've used my daughter as a hand model, and, had a fridge freezer of my own that I was quite happy to cut the back out of and use. There's ways to achieve everything, and that's really what's important. I mean, we're all, especially here in Maine, it's a lot of small businesses, and a lot of family-owned businesses. And what we really try and do is get the most out of whatever budget that you have. It's not a case of, oh, great, we've got this budget, let's go wild with the catering and the location. It's let's spend the money where we need to spend it.
Man, I wouldn't even think about catering in a video budget, but you're right that you gotta feed them too, right? So that's absolutely part of it. Well, so actually, let's talk a little bit about that. How is budget determined? How do you actually figure out, or a client comes to you and says, I have $20,000 to spend, I have $50,000 to spend. You say you go deep and wide to understand, what their needs are, but how do you help them understand where the money is going to be spent on that in addition to that, line item that may have catering?
Well, also is that, look at their competitors. What are their competitors doing as well? Because what you don't want is to produce something that really is not in line with what their competitors have out there. If their competitors got something that was shot in against a beautiful cyc wall and is like full of CGIs and all the rest of it, that budget's going to be bigger. But if their competitors have got something you think, oh, we can do better than this with this money, then it is just a case of, well, how many videos can we then produce? It's not like a case of, oh, well, let's blow the whole budget on one fantastic commercial, unless that's what they need. It's, well, with this money, this is what we could deliver for you. We could do a whole, strategic plan of videos. Do you want 60-second spots that are going to run as TV commercials? Do you also want 15-second cut downs that you can use on social media? How much from this content that we will be able to film with this money can we draw out of it? Because that's the really important part. Once we've filmed it, that video can be repurposed in so many different ways. And so it's understanding upfront what their expectations are, what they need from this, just to make sure that on that day or on those days that we're filming, we're capturing every single second of what they need. And we've got an idea in mind of what we're going to use it for. I mean, just this commercial that we just shot, we had extra time because the planning was done correctly. And when we thought we'd finished by 1:00, we'd actually finished by 11:30. So we spent that time with the talent, just doing some fun stuff, just that we knew that we could use on social media. And that was something that's extra that you can then deliver to the client, which is like, we're trying to do the best for you. And it goes back to that partnership. It's about treating people the way that you want to be treated in business. And it's not just, robbing people blind. It is truly about creating value.
A lot of money gets spent, on the back end, on the editing and on the, turning the raw footage into something. You just said that you got the checklist of shots that you needed by 11:30, but still were able to spend 90 minutes on fun things. But there is time, effort, and energy that goes into editing. How do you and the team approach editing?
If it's scripted, that's fairly simple. Then you're just putting something together. But if it's a case where you're going in and you're interviewing people and you're capturing, say, 30 minutes of them talking, and the client only wants a 60-second video, that's a lot of work then to edit that down. And sometimes I've just been working on a project where it was 5 interviewees for 20 to 30 minutes each that ended up in a 60-second video. So that's then a lot of work to pull the story out of that, because you're listening to me talking right now and you talking, and we don't speak in a way that is easily editable down into sound bites, because people just don't speak like that. So that's where the real craft comes in. That's the part where you're taking something that's unscripted and you're turning it into a narrative. And that's what takes the time, and that's what takes the skill. And then, backing that up with the images that are going to support that storytelling. And that's really, really important. We recently did a project and the company's logo was the sun. And so all throughout the filming, we'd made sure to capture images of the sun because, nobody had said that to us, but, that's part of what we'd done in our research. We understood what the branding was. So all throughout the finished piece, you see just little moments where the sun is shining through a window or the sun is shining through some leaves in the tree. And those are the extra mile, the little pieces that you go to that really make the video stand out from a competitor's video, that really, as I was talking to, are able to communicate with the voice of the client. And that's what I think we do really, really well, is just find those little, I don't know what to call it, little moments, little, I can't think of the word to use it, but it's, that indefinable thing about each client that then when we can drop into the video. One of the ones that we did for Edison, there was the guy who, I don't know if you remember, he had the Tron wheel.
Yeah.
What was he called?
The bicycle.
G-orbital, the bicycles. And there was just, a little nod in that video because he'd spoken about Tron to that film. We had him cycling through the thing down on his bike like that, like it was. And that was just, it's those little touches that just make, And I think that's what we do really, really well.
Well, it certainly feels like the fun comes out through it as well. And that your passion comes through in all of your work. How do you, what makes you excited about each day?
Because every day's different. Every day's a different story. Every day's a different experience. Every day's meeting somebody who's really, really inspiring. Let's go back to the Edison Awards. Every single person has just got a fantastic story to tell. And it's just about listening. And that's what it really does come down to. It's about listening. You listen from the very minute that the client picks up the phone and truly trying to understand what their story is and what's the best way of telling it so that you reach the right audience and that you engage that audience and you inspire that audience. I mean, it can be an advert for an air purifier. That's one of the projects that we worked on. But let's tell it the best possible way we can. Yep. Let's make everybody excited to run out and buy an air purification system.
Well, I don't think there's any lack of excitement when people get together with you and I think, and if they didn't come into the room excited, they certainly leave there excited.
I hope so. I really do, because I'm excited about working every day. This isn't a job that I chose for myself, but this is where I've ended up. And I'm, lucky enough to have ended up doing something that I love.
I love working with you. We've had a lot of success over the years, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the inaugural series of the Inspectations Podcast, Rebecca. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me along, Justin. I really enjoyed it.
You have been listening to the Inspectations Podcast. On behalf of your host, Justin Starbird, and our guests today, thank you for listening. To learn more about the Inspectations Podcast, our guest, or the Aebli Group, please visit us at www.aebligroup.com. Be sure to keep inspecting what you are expecting.